The king married the most hated woman in the kingdom. There was once a woman so disliked that parents used her name to frighten stubborn children. If you keep lying, mothers would warn, Zuri will hear about it. She argued with merchants. She corrected village elders. She embarrassed anyone she caught cheating. People called her proud, impossible to live with. So when King Jabari announced, I have chosen Zuri to be my queen, the kingdom erupted with laughter. Even the royal ministers exchanged worried glances. Some whispered, the king has finally lost his wisdom. No one knew that the king's choice had nothing to do with love. Months earlier, King Jabari had left the palace disguised as an ordinary traveler. His father had once given him strange advice. Never ask people who is good. Ask them who they hate. Then go and see for yourself. The king remembered those words. Everywhere he traveled, people mentioned the same woman, Zuri. Stay away from her. She ruins every celebration. She has no respect. The king became curious. The first meeting, at the marketplace, he finally saw her. A wealthy merchant smiled warmly while selling rice. Suddenly Zuri walked over. She grabbed a handful from the sack. Hidden underneath, the rice was damp and spoiled. You smile with your face, she said, but not with your heart. The crowd groaned. There she goes again. The merchant apologized, but Zuri simply walked away. The king frowned. She really did seem difficult. Over the next few days, he watched her from a distance. She corrected a village elder for taking land that belonged to a widow. She questioned a tax collector whose numbers didn't match. Weeks later, the kingdom gathered for the royal announcement. Everyone expected a graceful noblewoman. Instead, King Jabari looked toward Zuri. I choose her. Silence. Then laughter. Zuri herself looked confused. Your Majesty, do you know what people say about me? Ido. They say no one can live with me. The king smiled. Then let us discover whether they are telling the truth. Life inside the palace. The palace quickly became divided. Some servants avoided the queen. Others obeyed her reluctantly. Every meeting became uncomfortable. If ministers exaggerated numbers, Zuri corrected them. If servants wasted food, she stopped them. If nobles praised the king too much, she asked, what do you want in return? The ministers grew furious. One by one they approached the king. She insults everyone. She humiliates respected men. She doesn't deserve to be queen. King Jabari listened quietly. He never answered. Months passed. Even the king began wondering. One evening he found Zuri standing alone beneath a great baobab tree. Tell me honestly, he said. Do you enjoy making enemies? She looked at him calmly. I don't enjoy it. But lies are comfortable. The truth rarely is. The king sighed. He still wasn't sure. Had he married wisdom or trouble? I married Zuri to test all of you. The room froze. For an entire year, I watched what happened. The honest people came to know her before judging her. They disagreed with her sometimes, but they judged her by what they experienced. Then his face grew serious. But others? He slowly looked at the ministers. Never spoke to her. They repeated rumors. They used her reputation to turn neighbor against neighbor. They smiled in this hall, while feeding hatred outside it. He pointed toward the chief minister. You never feared Zuri. You feared the questions she asked. The minister lowered his head. Then the king looked at the crowd. Tell me, how many of you decided who she was, without ever trying to know her? No one answered. The silence became heavier than any accusation. The ministers stood frozen. No one spoke. The villagers who had mocked Zuri lowered their eyes. They had expected the king to punish her. Instead, he slowly rose from his throne and looked across the silent court. Then he said, for months you begged me to send Zuri away. He paused, not because she was cruel, but because she refused to flatter you. The hall became even quieter. The The king descended the steps and stood beside Zuri. Then he faced the entire kingdom. I never married Zuri to test her. Another long pause. Everyone waited. Then the king said the line that no one expected. I married her to test all of you. Gasps echoed through the royal court. The king continued. An honest person would have judged her after knowing her. But the dishonest judged her the moment they heard rumors. Every lie you spread, every whisper, every demand that I cast her out, revealed your character, not hers. The guilty ministers lowered their heads. The villagers who had laughed at Zuri could not meet her eyes. The king turned toward his queen and smiled. You never failed my test. Then he looked back at the crowd. You failed yours. From that day on, the people never called Zuri the woman with the worst character again. Instead, they remembered the lesson that changed their kingdom forever. The way we judge others often reveals more about our own character than theirs.